everybody. Welcome back. I'm Casey Stone with Clear Story Design. Usually I am renovating old houses, but today we're doing a little work in my own old house. So if you watched my Decking the Hall series, you might remember when we put this Christmas wrapping paper on this fireplace. And at the time I had mentioned that I had purchased tile to go there, finally found the summer cover I wanted, finally found the tile, and then I ran out of time before the holidays and didn't get it done. But today we're prepping, and tomorrow we're tiling. So if you recall, there are 4 fireplaces in this house. The one in the living room is fully functional and has gas logs. The other 3 were sheetrocked up by someone somewhere along the way. So what I have done on 2 of the 3 is tiled the surround and inserted an antique summer cover. Let me go to the other rooms and show you what I'm talking about. So this is the dining room, and this is one of the ones that was sealed up. We opened it. We couldn't get it functioning. We couldn't make it pretty. So I found this gorgeous tile. No doubt this is the best fireplace in the house. This tile, it looks like an antique tile. So many people come in and say, wow, that's so great that you still have that tile. Nope, that's a 2020 job. So these are the antique summer covers, and I've collected them from all over. And I have a new one. Well, it's not new to me, to go upstairs. So this is the guest room. Summer covers are not always the easiest thing to find, especially with this centerpiece. So this was not my favorite. It was one that I found when I was looking for them. So I put it in the guest room because I didn't love it. And so I was hoping that I would find one that I liked better. And I did. So the one I like better is going in my room. So we're gonna do the same thing here. So this is the summer cover that's going in this room. And as you can see, it's gonna take up most of the height of this fireplace. Most of the tile is just gonna be on the sides. Now, typically this comes in 3 pieces. The center piece is not here. For ease of installation, I have my local ironworks weld this piece, the base, and the surround together. So it's one piece. When we get ready to install, it'll install in one piece. So I've got to find the center, figure out where this is going to go, and I'm going to tile around it. These are the tiles that I am going to use. They are imported from Spain. They're pretty thick. They're unlike anything else that I have in my house. So I actually used these in the Hyatt house, had some left over. Of course, I didn't have enough, so I had to buy another box, which was what slowed me down and stopped me from doing this tile in the first place. But I'm going with the squares, so lots of things to consider. Do I offset these? Do I stack them? I've got a lot of figuring out to do. Okay, I think I have figured out the spacing. So one of the questions I had was, do I center one tile centered over this in the middle, or do I do 2 in the center? And if I do 2 in the center, it makes the spacing work better on the sides. I don't know if that makes sense. You'll see it tomorrow. So I'm going to do a little prep tonight, and then tomorrow, by golly, we're tiling. Good morning, we are back. Let me tell you what I've done. First of all, I've covered up the floor. This is that plastic like we use on countertops and appliances, and I've just put a little bit on the floor. I have measured that summer cover and drawn where it's going to sit, because I wanna make sure that my tile comes behind that, but not really far behind that. That makes sense. I want to just overlap that space. I also have been using my level. And can you believe that a house built in 1848 isn't level? So this mantel's not level. This floor is not level. So what we've decided to do is this under the mantel is just a little bit off of level. And if we can shim up the summer cover to kind of follow that line, I think the top will look okay, and it'll be the bottom where all the wonky cuts are, and most people hopefully won't ever really notice that. So I think what I'm gonna do is go ahead and put a row of tile on the top and then do a little more figuring. Let's talk tools. First of all, I almost forgot to pick this up, but I've got my tile adhesive. I got the little bucket. I'm hoping we don't run out. Should have plenty. I've got my spacers. Honestly, I don't remember what spacing that is. I think it is 1/16 of an inch. I've got my box of tile, tape measures, levels, got some water just in case. I mentioned this to you yesterday, but instead of centering one tile in the middle, that's gonna give me 2 tiny little cuts on the end. So instead, I'm gonna put my spacing at the middle and go in each direction. So here goes nothing. Some people like to put their adhesive all over the wall. I might do that as we get going, but in the beginning, I like to just back butter. I'm also looking, there's a lot of finish to these, and so I'm just kind of rotating around to see which direction I like it. All right, so most of one row is up. You can really see the way the sun's hitting it, that the luster really varies on these. And so I'm okay with that. That's kind of the nature of the design. We just got to make sure you don't want like one half to be lustery and the other half to be real matte. Lustery, that's a new word. These 2 cut tiles are in place. Now let me show you what I did. I made myself a plumb line here and here. That is where I'm gonna pull these 2 tiles and I'm gonna do a leg right down. I'm gonna follow those 2. So I made myself a line to work off of left and right. I've done the same thing over here. So we'll pull these 2 tiles down and then we'll cut this tile all the way down the leg. And then the only place, hopefully, with wonky cuts is gonna be that bottom row of tile. All right, we have 1 leg done. So I followed that plumb line down to do these 2 rows or 2 stacks of solid tiles and cut this short one all the way down. It varies just a little bit, but not too much. We were at 3 3/16 at the top, and by the time we got to the bottom, we were at 3 1/4, maybe a little bit over 3 1/4, but for the most part, it fit pretty well, and it's not too terribly off of plumb. All right, so these are the 2 that I just cut. Again, checking pattern. I think that's too similar, so we're gonna put that one down there. It sure is easier when there are multiple ones you're cutting the same size. Give it a little back butter. I ended up back buttering the whole thing instead of putting any on the wall. All right. Cut side toward the trim. Here we go. And she fits. Clean her up a little bit. And on to the next one. Okay, so we have finished the tile. We just placed this here to see how it's gonna look. Obviously that sheetrock's gotta be cut so it can slide back. I love when I have an idea of something that's gonna look better and be easier. So I was gonna cut little slivers of tile. Let me move this so you can see. I was gonna cut little slivers of tile to go down there at the bottom. But first of all, they were all gonna be different and annoyingly small. And second of all, in some places, there's nowhere to actually affix the tile to because there's a pretty good sized gap there. So I have decided that I'm just gonna run a piece of 1/4 round or toe mold from here, there, paint it up like trim. I think it will look better and I know it will be much easier. So we're gonna let this tile set up. We'll be back tomorrow to grout. Then we'll need to caulk, then we'll paint, we'll get this mounted and that toe mold. So step one is done. So while I am finishing this up, I have a surprise for you. Our long lost Geo. Say hi, Geo. Everybody misses Geo. Say hey, little Geo. So I said we were going to grout tomorrow, but it's a good bit later the same day, and we're gonna try to grout now. So I've mixed up my grout. I made way too much, but that's because I get it too runny and then I have to put more in. So we're gonna try to grout this and go from there. Okay, we've done a little more than half of the grout. I'm waiting on some fresh water so that we can clean. When it comes to grout, it's just all about constantly cleaning. I want this side to shine like that side is shining. When it's that shiny, I'll know I've taken enough off. So sadly, there's no more Christmas wrapping paper, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Christmas wrapping paper, but this tile is up. It looks a little gray in this video, but it's not. It's much creamier with a pink tint to it. So after about 4 years of finally getting around to do it, I think it looks great. Next step is the summer cover. We're back, and this time I have turned the project over to Jesus to complete it. All right, y'all, so Jesus is marking. He's done some figuring. We're gonna cut that sheetrock and hope that we can successfully and not too difficultly get it in place. All right, so what he did was he cut a spot for those flanges to go in. But the problem with that is there's a little bit of masonry behind there. Now someone has just filled this thing up with old block and brick. So he's taking it downstairs and he's gonna cut those flanges off. We're gonna use the grinder, take them off. Okay, so that went pretty easy. You saw him cleaning it up. He cut off both flanges. So let's go back upstairs and see if we can figure it out now. Okay, we're back upstairs and I feel certain it's gonna work now. We're just gonna have to be a little more creative in how we get it to mount. We're gonna use some liquid nail to the rescue. All right, so we got it in place. It looked really good. Now we're putting in some liquid nail to hold it in place. There was just a tiny sliver right here because the floor is unlevel, so it kicked that way just a little bit. So we just put one more tile there. We used some liquid nail to put it in place. I'm gonna add a little bit of grout once it sets up. You really don't even see the tile. You just could see a void of there not being a tile. So lots of liquid nail, hold it in place. And do a little toe mold at the bottom. And hopefully she's gonna be nice and stable. Here goes nothing. Maybe a little bit more liquid nail. We're back and we have another problem. So you remember that we had Jesus liquid nail that one tile in place so that we wouldn't see a gap over here? Well, last night I tried to put the summer cover in after the liquid nail was set up, and it has to go up, in, and then down. And it won't because it's hitting that little bit of tile. So I've got a Dremel tool and we're gonna see if we can cut the tile without having to take this surround off. Wish me luck. Okay, folks, we're back. I did not show you all of it, but basically I took the Dremel tool, a hammer and a flathead screwdriver and broke that tile out. The next step is caulk. We put that toe mold down and then we need to caulk all the way around. Right, so I applied caulk around the top and down this side. And if you look at this side versus this, I think you can see the difference that caulk makes. So now let's do this side. Okay, the whole thing is caulked, including our toe mold, our quarter round. I'm gonna let that dry, and then later this evening, I'm gonna do some touch-up paint. We've definitely gotta paint that quarter round. It's just been primed. And then I think we're gonna call it done, at least for tomorrow's event. Okay, here is the finished product. You can see the summer cover. I like it. It's a different tile. It's certainly not as amazing as the one in the dining room, but I do think I like it better than the guest room. I like going with the black. You can see we have one white, two blacks in the house. This one's got a really cool design. It feels Grecian, like we've got a Greek female goddess here. So I like this one a whole lot. It's a little dusty, got dusty in the grinding. But that is a project well done. So thanks for following along on this pretty quick little project. We will be back at it next with a bathroom renovation. So stay tuned.